Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimaloye here in Abuja. It is perhaps a good day for the Nigerian police force as operatives of the Kaduna State Police Command says it has arrested the masterminds of the kidnapping and murder of students of Greenfield University and the abductions along the Abuja-Kaduna Highway. One of the arrested suspects is a notorious terrorist leader, Ibrahim Abdullahi, popularly known as Mande, who allegedly masterminded, participated in the kidnapping and murder of students of Greenfield University and most of the kidnappings along the Abuja-Kaduna Highway. The suspects were paraded today in Abuja. Take a listen to the Force Police PRO.
You will recollect that on 12 January 2024, police operatives attached to anti-kidnapping unit of Kaduna State Criminal Investigation Department, CID, based on credible information, swept in and arrested one Ibrahim Abdullahi, a.k.a. Mande, at Abuja-Kaduna Road, flyover by Rido Junction. The suspect confessed to being the leader of a kidnap syndicate terrorizing Kaduna-Abuja Highway, ranked among other criminals like Dogo Gide and Bello Toji, the popular Bello Toji. He had participated in various kidnapping incidents, including the kidnapping incident at Greenfield University, and he partook in almost all the kidnappings along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. And particularly the attack, the popular attack on the train stations, he was involved in that particular attack on the train. That during that time, he ran away, but we promised Nigerians that we're going to get them one after the other.
Now, you heard it. So allegedly, these persons are the ones suspected to be behind all of the attacks that the police are talking about. We're hoping that more of these will happen for the peace of the nation. Tonight, two major conversations get our attention. We've been seeing now some kind of defections. And what does this mean for opposition politics in Nigeria? We are hearing, just maybe, that a former governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Shema, may have crossed over to the APC. And of course, it's coming days after Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, a former Imo State governor and a former deputy speaker of the House, also dumped the PDP. And now today, he has announced that it will be floating a political force known as the Rebuild Imo Movement. What does this mean for the People's Democratic Party, which is supposed to be a major opposition party in Nigeria, which gave the ruling APC a run for their money in the last election? Now, Mr. Ihedioha had accused the PDP of failure to organize itself properly as an opposition party, failure to organize proper party structure and processes, and failure to be able to uphold its own constitution. These are some of the issues. And again, we'll bring back a conversation on the push for a standard living wage for Nigerian worker. The NLC president will be joining me. We also have Chief Dele Momodu, a PDP member and a former presidential candidate, will be also joining us tonight on the program. So sit tight, everyone. We're going to be having a robust conversation. But before we get into all of that, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The military has announced its preparedness to court-martial two officers responsible for the airstrike that was carried out on Tudumbiri village in Kaduna State on the 3rd of December 2023, which led to the death of several civilians. Addressing journalists in Abuja on the activities of the armed forces in the fight against insurgency, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, says the drone attack, which occurred when the villagers were celebrating a Muslim festival, was a mistake which the military is not prepared to condone. General Buba also read the Riot Act to members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, as he assured residents of the southeast that the sit-at-home being observed in the region is dead and buried.
Accordingly, the affected personnel are to face a court-martial for acts of omission or commission with respect to the Tudunbiri incident.
Labour Party governorship candidate in Edo State, Mr. Olumide Akpata, has cautioned the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, to stop the politicization of the new minimum wage ahead of the September 21 governorship election in the state. Speaking with journalists after a private visit to the Abia State Governor, Mr. Alex Oti, the former NBA president queried the timing of the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira, insisting that workers' wage bills should have been addressed before now. Mr. Akpata assured the people of Edo State that his administration will prioritize their welfare if voted as governor.
Stop making wages of the salary, wages of our workers an election issue. It should have been dealt with a long time ago, and this is a little too late.
Amidst the current scarcity of petrol in most parts of the country, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Shehu Gabam, is calling on the federal government to review its policy on the removal of subsidy on electricity. Speaking in Abuja shortly after playing host to members of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly elected under the platform of the party, Mr. Gabam says the removal of subsidy on petrol, which is already inflicting pains on Nigerians, should also be reviewed.
We have spoken extensively on the issue of tariff on electricity. It has no human face, absolutely. And I've seen that a lot of Nigerians have descended on that.
To Kwara State, where some top politicians from the ruling and opposition parties in Kwara North Senatorial District are again seeking for the understanding of other zones to give them the governorship slot come 2027. The gathering also includes all the traditional rulers and residents of the 5 councils that made up the district, where they called on different aspirants to shun their interests for the overall benefits of the zone.
We are saying that we deserve the opportunity to lead the state because we are part of the state. That is all this is all about. And on behalf of all of us, we are clear, we are all united.
Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Don't forget, tonight we have the president of the NLC, Comrade Joe Ajaero, who is with us on the program tonight. But as much as we're trying to touch base with him and fix all the technical angles and all that before going live to him, let's first and foremost let you in on some of the major political story, one of which is that a former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and a former Imo State Governor, Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, has floated a new political movement, which he called the Rebuild Imo Movement. This is coming days after the former party leader announced his resignation from the PDP following his disappointment in the internal affairs of the party, of not being able to uphold internal party structures and processes, and failure to play the role of opposition or even to follow its own party constitution as it should be. He also is featuring on possible defection of the former governor of Katsina State, Governor Ibrahim Sherma, who is said to have dumped the PDP for the APC. But what does this mean altogether for our nation and our politics and, of course, governance in this country, knowing full well that the pillars of democracy includes opposition and its role, the civil society, of course, the media, and the government, which adds its different arms. But when we see this kind of defection, what does this mean? Let's get to the filler and get to understand some of what is going on within the PDP. And I'm being joined by a former presidential candidate who also was an aspirant in the 2023 presidential race and a member of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Dele Momodu. He joins us live from Lagos. Thank you so much, Chief Momodu, for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Shehu, and how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Give us an understanding of what this defection means. The PDP used to be the bride of major politicians in Nigeria, and you see a lot of movement towards the PDP, but it does look like recently some high-profile personalities are shying away from identifying with the People's Democratic Party. What do you think is going on with the party?
I don't think I am too surprised, and it is nothing strange. After every electoral cycle,
you see such movement in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country where a politician can wake up in APC and go to bed in PDP. So it's nothing strange. And there are many reasons you can accuse for this. Most politicians in Nigeria are neither in need for charity nor for service to the people. It is only those who are in need for service to the people who can endure the hardship it takes to be in opposition. In Nigeria, politics is usually a game of winner take all. And it's also like a casino. So people, they play the casino, play their Russian roulette, and so when they are no longer comfortable in a particular political party, they move next. Some you won't blame, they have genuine reasons why they are frustrated out of the party. Someone like my very dear friend and brother, Emeka Ihedioha, the man that I love and respect so much, he's encouraged me a lot in PDP. And before he left, I mean, because the couple of times, I didn't know he was feeling so soon, but we did discuss it. And I know that he had genuine things to be frustrated with our party. On the personal note, looking at government chairman, well, I don't have any reasons for him leaving, but I know that he's been out of action for some time. And you know, politicians don't like to stay out of action. So he would have his own reasons for joining this. The other reason that we can look at is the fact that APC is already very jittery about 2027. The race has already started, even while the government is groping in darkness as to how to conduct the affairs of Nigeria. So they are already jittery, and they will do everything possible to destroy opposition. So it's up to those of us who are left in opposition to carry on strongly like the Roman soldiers and hope that we can make something tangible out of what we have at the moment. But I know that a lot of people also in APC will start moving because of anybody who is a student of political history in Nigeria will know that many people are still in APC today because they are hoping against hope that some Nigerians will drop on their laps. You know, manner of thoughts from the ruling government in Nigeria. So they're waiting for that manner. And when that manner doesn't drop, you will see them start moving out also in frustration. So it's not a one-way affair. It's going to be a motorway of movements. And let's wait for that time. But I am sure that a lot of APC members are already frustrated because what they are expecting, they are not getting.
Let's look at some of the reasons why Emeka Ihedioha, for example, because he's not saying for sure that he's headed for another political party, but his grievances have been established in his resignation letter, which he has transmitted to the party. And today again, is carrying on and trying to establish the reasons why he's left the party, which include the fact that the party has failed to play the opposition role effectively.
Well, I cannot disclose our private conversations. For example, I speak always as Dele Momodu. I'm not spokesperson for our party or for His Excellency, that I like to call him, Emeka Ihedioha. Fantastic, brilliant gentleman. What I know is that the options before those of us in PDP are two or three. One, we remain in PDP and fight it out with the renegades who want to cause trouble and destroy the party from within. Unknown to them, they are also destroying their own future. The second is for the party to implode and people will move out en masse and leave the carcass to those who want to play the vultures in the party. So the third option is for people either to go to APC or any of the existing parties. But I believe that it's also very likely that the mega party will take place, whether with PDP or with others. It happened. Unlike Jonathan, there were political parties at the time of Jonathan, and they came together to form what is called APC. Maybe the time has come for some people to pay them back their own coins. I don't know. So I'm speaking now as a political scholar who is looking at all the melodrama in Nigeria at the moment. But we're not synonymous with crisis. APC has its own internal crisis. You can see the chairman of APC, former Governor Ganduje, fighting for his own life in his own party. It is part of the march towards 2027. APC will do everything possible to destroy opposition, find those who are viable, to terrorize those who are not viable, and make sure that the parties are in disarray. That's all. There is no way. You see, because the plan upon which people came to power was largely in the north. And a lot of the people in the north who gave that support either supports democratically or via coercion, they are already very disgruntled. I mean, you can see someone like my friend and brother, former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. You can see him moving around. So the man who gave them the pen is also using the eraser. So they are jittery. And so what they are doing, if you look at Rivers, they are not fighting for Rivers because they just need votes in Rivers. They also need the money of Rivers. And they know that in the South, the only man who can challenge Tinubu in the South is on Wike. So they dragged him very close to them. And they will also make sure that he has no peace in Rivers. Because the structure Wike is talking about in Rivers is not the structure of giving APC votes. It's the structure of money. The structure of having direct access. And Rivers has always played that pivotal role in elections in Nigeria, from Dr. Odili to Chibukeru Amechi to Wike and now to Farah. So it's a very strategic state. It's not in terms of votes. A lot of people don't do their due diligence very well. So they would have known that what is going on in Rivers is about whiff of cash. What is Babiji would call whiff of cash. So they are doing all these things and just moving around to make sure that.
But Mr. Momodu, Mr. Momodu, would you say that the PDP is playing the opposition role as it should be playing it?
I'm a very frank person. No. And the reasons are very obvious. Because there are people within PDP whose role and sole responsibility is to make sure that PDP does not break. They are there. They are not hiding it. And some people are also conniving with them from within. And it's obvious from all available evidence that PDP should be playing a bigger role than it's playing right now. And the leader of opposition in Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is trying his best not to rob the boat. He's trying to pacify everyone. If you know him, he is probably the most democratic man you will find in Nigerian politics today. He plays to the books and according to the rule of law. So he does not want to appear like he's a tyrant or a dictator. But in Nigeria, a bully only respects a bully. So Atiku right now is working behind the scenes to make sure that he can bring everybody together, especially those who agree. Those who have not lost their souls totally to the devil, he's trying his best to bring them together.
So, the question largely is that if we have a ruling party or a party in government, we should see another political party on the sideline, thirsty for power, but putting the ruling party on its toe, apart from the individuals. Well, it does look like political party structures now are just election engineering structures. whereby it's only used every 4 years, and every 4 years it's been abandoned, and everybody go on as normal. So the question is whether or not what Emeka Ihedioha has said, that the PDP has failed in its duties as an opposition. Do you agree?
You see, part of my admiration for then Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos was the role he played as an opposition leader. But unfortunately now, we have a former opposition leader in government, and they don't want opposition. It's an irony, you know. So, is that it's a population place, and it's about self, it's the politics of self. So a lot of things going on in PDP today, it's because some people are very confused with the state of things. And when you are confused, why do you want to change it? So that's what is happening. They are very confused, and they have people who are probably funding it, either directly or indirectly, from the ruling government.
So another issue that Emeka Ihedioha has is about the internal reforms. Now, after the 2015 election, the party says that he needed to look into how he lost the election. And former governors, former leaders of the party came together in a committee. Some of the committee we saw former Senate, Deputy Senate President leading that committee to look at how and why the PDP failed in the 2015 election, and in fact also in the 2019 election. The party has also lost the 2023 election, and Emeka Ihedioha is saying that these are some of the issues, and the party does not look like a party that is learning from its mistakes because it fails to fix its internal structures which are falling apart, and it fails to ensure an internal reforms.
It is not as simple as you are putting it, Sheung. You know, the role of money in Nigerian politics is number one, number two, number three, before you now come to ethnicity, to religion, and all that. And I'm telling you that PDP is being held by the jugular through the power of money. Some people are funding some politicians within. And you'll be shocked at the level in the party right now. And everybody suspected, everybody lamented like Jeremiah behind the scene. When you speak to them, but to talk publicly, no, they don't want to offend you, they don't want to offend that. And don't forget, look at what's happening to a man like Yahya Bello, who is a member of it. So now imagine somebody in opposition. So there are many reasons why people cannot fight. We can start in next the other day. He's a man who said openly that I work against my party and I will work against my party again. He came in there. Please tell me who would have stopped him from sitting there with all the security apparatus from the federal government, with the federal mind, who would have stopped him from entering that meeting? So they know what they are doing.
Chief Mamadou, I don't know if you I don't know if you remember the Ike Ekweremadu committee, which is supposed to be a fact-finding and resolution committee, the Bukola Saraki Peace Committee. These are committees that have been set up by the party. All of the committees and the outcome of these committees, what is the problem? Is it also the other party forces outside of the party that are also making sure that some of what they have offered as solution to the party did not happen?
My answer to you is a one-liner. Exercise is futility. For as long as you have who are on the except if miracle happen, and someone like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar succeeds in his mission, and to tell them that you are right now amongst to be us. We're talking about the future of Nigeria. We're talking about the future of our children. But some people are okay with the handouts they are getting. That is the truth. What I'm saying, a lot of people cannot say it, but I'm a part-time politician. I have my job. I have what I'm doing. Okay? So I can speak up, and I will continue to speak up. A lot of our politicians are in need for what they can get. And if they are not in APC where they can get appointments and they remain in PDP and somebody is funding them from that direction, what do you want them to do? They are already entrenched, and I don't see any force that can get them out. So those who still have their thinking caps on are working around the clock to make sure that they persuade these people that you cannot do this to your party, because these things will go down in history, that there are Judases within the party who are hell-bent on destroying the party.
But what do you think is the way forward for the PDP? Because if the caving in continues, if this internal crumbling continues, the party might find out that it's no longer existing tomorrow.
I don't think it is new. All these political brickbats and everything. It's not new to Nigeria. It is a matter of time. Like I already mentioned, APC will get very weak, especially in the direction the government is going. If the government does not perform and government feels it can use power of coercion on opposition to win the next election, they will be shocked. PDP used to be very strong before 2014, 2015. But at the stage, everything collapsed. Things fell apart. I think that happening to APC also. Because if you get to a stage where people will realize that how many people can they buy? Now they are giving appointments like popcorn. They are spraying money everywhere, you know. So people are hoping, and that's why you see a lot of them will keep quiet. But after some time, when hunger catches all of us, we will all know the direction to go.
Chief Dele Momodu, we wish the PDP very well, because we do know that when there is an active opposition, an effective civil society, and an independent media, our society will be better for it. And that's why we're asking these questions tonight for the opposition party to stand up for his right and his role within our democracy. Thank you so much, Chief Dele Momodu, for your time tonight.
Thank you, Seun Okibaloye.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll take a break, everyone, but when we return, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, is standing by to speak with us on the push for what could be a maximum negotiation for the Nigerian workers as we look forward to the agreement on a proper living wage, which the federal government will refer to as a national minimum wage. Which way forward for the NLC? Comrade Ajaero will be joining us after this break. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight. So we're going back to the conversation on getting the Nigerian worker a proper living wage, especially because of the present economic climate in Nigeria. But the question is, what is the proper living wage that will satisfy or that is befitting for the average worker against the backdrop of mounting challenges, including the skyrocketing prices of commodities, petrol scarcity that we see in town, inflationary pressures, and foreign exchange instability, which amidst all of the promises the government is making that they will deal decisively with some of the challenges the average worker is facing. Now, tonight, I'm being joined by the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, who will be speaking with us. Of course, yesterday, at the Labour Day event, which held here in Abuja, the government made a promise. They say that between 25 and 35% increase will happen pending the final agreement with Labour and the Tripartite Committee on the figure for the national minimum wage. Let me allow you to listen again to what the Minister of Labour and the Vice President said yesterday. Take a listen to them.
25 and 35% increase will happen pending the agreement on the figure for the national minimum wage. Let me allow you to listen again to what the Minister of Labour and the Vice President said yesterday. Take a listen to them. 25 and 35% increase will happen pending the agreement on the figure for the national minimum wage. I do not take for granted the understanding, patience, commitment, and support you have shown throughout the implementation of this government's policies and programs aimed at positively transforming our great nation. Your contributions and support have played a significant role in our efforts to rescue the economy since we came on board. Our allegiance and patriotism are the bedrock upon which our beloved country thrives. The success of our government's policies and programs hinges on the willingness of workers as the backbone of our workforce to embrace them wholeheartedly. I appeal to you to continue using the power of the labor movement for the greater good of our nation.
The Nigerian workers should be rest assured that despite the short delay, the minimum wage will take effect on from 1st May 2024. We are not going to lose any time.
That is a promise from the Nigerian government that from yesterday, the new minimum wage will take effect. But Mr. Joe Ajaero is joined us now. He's the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. He's live with us from Abuja. It's good to see you, Mr. President. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Give us an understanding. It does look that you may not be, I'm talking about the organized labor and government, you're not on the same page as regarding your expectation and the proposition of government.
Well, I think we are working towards being on the same page. The government seems to be saying that they are committed to giving Nigerian workers a living wage. And we have made proposal for a living wage for Nigerian workers. So I think it's a kind of a disagreement.
If you look at it, the federal government is saying between 25 to 35%, and they listed all of those structures in which these changes will affect. Give us an understanding of how this could go. Have you accepted it momentarily? Because this is supposed to be a mid-gap measure pending the agreement of the tripartite committee on the exact figure that the minimum wage will be pegged.
Well, I think what is happening is this issue of conhests and where workers are on a particular salary structure, and some category of workers have collected it, those in medical and health, the workers in nurses and midwives, the workers in, but those in paramilitary, you know, are yet to get theirs, and some other sectors. And for almost 4 years, you know, unions in that sector have been asking for it to be harmonized. But at the eve of the May Day, I think the government announced that, you know, they have included the military and the paramilitary sectors, and some media, you know, houses start to analyze that it's a salary increase for workers. You know, it is not, you know, and we needed to clarify that, you know, there's a bracket of workers that have not been captured by these conhests and all that, you know, and then they only say that, okay, those ones are equally captured from the core civil service to the public sector.
Have you accepted that 25 to 35% increment which the federal government is proposing? Have you accepted it? Because it's a temporary measure, is a stopgap measure pending the final agreement on the national minimum wage. Have you accepted? Because you were quoted to have said that those figures, that those percentages are mischievous.
It's not a question of what happened is that it's not a question of a bracket or a certain percentage of the workforce, almost 70% of the workforce. And suddenly you now want to include the other 30%. You can't reject for the remaining 30% when about 70% or thereabout are receiving. So I don't even know where the issue of rejecting or whatever, but you don't then call it a salary increase for workers or wage increase for workers. That's the point, and there is need to draw a distinction on this, and that is exactly what we have tried to do.
In all of this, you are proposing a 615,000. That one will think that reasonable because everyone wants good pay. But is it realistic, Mr. Ajaero?
Well, if you are talking about being realistic, the 615,000 demand is the most realistic. And being realistic is not all about collecting slave wage. Never. And we had a breakdown of this into about 10 items. We looked at housing and accommodation for about 40,000 naira. And I want you to tell me where we can get a room and parlor 40,000 naira in Abuja. Electricity stroke power, we allocated 20,000 naira. I want you to tell me where you can buy a token of 20,000 from the current tariff increase, and it will last you more than 1 week. We made proposal for utility and water for just 10,000. We looked at kerosene stroke gas. If you watch this cylinder that they fill, and you have to fill it about 2 times in a month. If it is at 16,000 or 17,000, as the case may be, or 18,000, you arrive at about 35,000. And we looked at food, food for 6 people, 4 children, husband and wife, and we allocated 9,000 per day, which translates to 1,500 per person. It then means it is 500 per meal. If you calculate it and you get 9,000 per day, by 30 days, you have 270,000. And then we look at medical, for 50,000, assuming nobody goes on admission, for whatever reason, there is no major ailment. We looked at clothing for 20,000. I don't know what we're going to do with that. And then education, assuming your children are on free education, maybe you carry them to go to school, or if they are paying, only 50,000 is what we are allocated to education. And then we looked at sanitation, 10,000. Because the issue of transportation, because of the situation that we now look at, if you have 4,000 or even 3,005, for 30 days, you are talking about 110,000. If you sum this up, you're going to have the 615,000. We didn't add anything, assuming you are paying for security, or somebody comes to your house and you are buying mineral, or you are taking care of your aged parents, or even relation, or whatever. This is what we have here, and we want anybody in the country to tell us, that these things are not this way. It's very important, and apart from looking at figure. However, 30,000 is a big money if inflation is brought down, if it is at single digit, if all things are equal. Now, if the government equally wants to take everybody along, look at all those indices, that create inflation, devaluation of the currency, and all whatnot, especially transportation and high cost of living. If we check them, you can talk of another thing, and you can now talk of being realistic. You can't be realistic, when only wage is suffering. All other factors, in the country, is going high, and wage remain constant. There won't be equilibrium.
So I'm looking at it, comrade. The percentage increase. What would be the percentage increase from the last minimum wage, which is 30,000?
Are you talking of percentage increase between the last minimum wage and now?
And the proposition.
What has been the percentage increase in transportation between the last time when we moved, removed subsidy to 500 and something, and 500 to 700 and something? What has been the percentage increase in terms of electricity tariff, which has gone more than 500% between the last minimum wage to date? So we have to take these things together, not the percentage increase in terms of 30,000 to where we are today. Things are not going at even that percentage increase between last time and now.
So the question here, we'll see some states, Lagos State meeting the idea of a 70,000 increase to 70,000. Edo State has officially announced 70,000. We understand that Cross River may have announced about 60,000 or so increase. Now, how does that come to you? Perhaps some of these state governors or state governments that have been proactive, that have moved ahead before the decision of the tripartite or the arrival at the national minimum wage.
If you look at what the governors are doing, if you look at the governors that have this humane disposition, they are trying to do something pending when the new minimum wage will be announced. I was at the hall because I went to present the lecture there when the governor of Edo State made the announcement, and he said, you know, we have been waiting for a new minimum wage because the workers are suffering. But meanwhile, before the announcement of the new minimum wage, we want to commence the payment of 70,000 naira wage, you know, effective May 1st. But if the federal government announces a new wage, Edo State will implement. I think it's commendable. It shows that they have the interests of workers at heart. And if you watch, that was equally the driving motive for us to have asked for equally a wage award. And if you check, the federal government added another 35,000 to 30,000, which was 65,000, which is still not enough. You know, at least for people to be alive, pending when the new minimum wage will be announced. And the governors, they know it too well that they are not equally designing their own minimum wage, but they are showing the human nature of their administration.
Well, let's look at it. And the reason why I asked whether or not this figure you're proposing is realistic is what we have seen before. That just before now, some years back, when some states were declared not able to be able to fund their own activities, the only thing they could do is pay salaries, and that was all. Several states were declared insolvent. And those who do the figures will tell you, out of the 36 states, about 25 of them are most times insolvent because after paying salaries, they are unable to do nothing. And most of these states are regarded as civil servant states. Now, they're getting more money. If 615,000 naira is what you are proposing, how realistic in the terms of some states that have almost 55% of the overhead or the salaries or wages of workers as their bottom line, how would they be able to cope if the minimum wage is pegged at 615? Don't forget, Mr. Ajaero, that most of these states for several years after 30,000 naira was announced, they couldn't even pay. Some of them are still defaulting up to today.
Well, I think we need to understand the issue of ability to pay and the issue of not getting the priority right. You know, most of the states that have shown willingness to pay are not among those that are getting the highest revenue. Even during the time of General Muhammadu Buhari, and some states were declared as not having enough money to pay, and he released funds for them to pay. Those states still went ahead and refused to pay. Now, it's not a question of whether the quantum of money they have or not. It's what they decide to do with such money. If they get their priority right, then a lot can happen. Remember, I told you before that if we do what we are supposed to do in terms of what is expected to us as a government and as people, and we're able to check inflation, check all other in this, check cost of foodstuff, go into massive agriculture, have a kind of self-sufficiency, you know, in the nation, then we'll pay less attention to the quantum, to hundreds of millions and thousands. And then if these are parts of governance, if we leave it and we see a situation whereby even a loaf of bread, you see a situation where a loaf of bread will be higher than, you know, the money you are talking of. We can't continue this way. If you allow the situation to remain the way it is today, inflation flying, devaluation of the currency. This 615 will not last for the next 1 year. It will not be enough for the worker. So what we are calling the attention of the Nigerian government to look at such indices that we need to work along with whatever we are supposed to agree so that it will last and it will be realistic. When you talk of realistic is not when I collect 500,000, I will spend it on transportation and I will not have anything to eat. Realistic is that with what I collect, and this should be able to take me home, even if I'm not going to have 1 naira savings. And that is what Labour has proposed. If tomorrow we look at inflation, look at the valuation of the currency and all other indices, and we say from this time to this time, we can predict with certain measure of certainty that inflation will be here, and that this is what an average person needs to survive in one month or in 1 week, we can agree on that.
So, Mr. Jairo, as the leader of Labour, one will wonder how much of pressure are you going to be putting on government? Because no matter how much the figures are pegged at, even if it's pegged at 2 million naira, and the economic figures or the indices of the economy are not in the right place, those figures or those minimum wage will still mean nothing. And so it means that the government must be doing the right thing. And what is Labour doing to ensure that government is on its toes to do the right thing, especially within the economic climate that we find ourselves?
Well, government doesn't like pressure. The current administration doesn't like pressure. You know, if you equally come out tomorrow to say, government, we want to do a rally for you to realize where it is penning us, they will fight back. Yeah, and they will get people to attack you and call you all manner of names. They don't want pressure. However, the pressure they are going to get is, you know, direct and commensurate with the pressure we are receiving. You know, because in this situation, it's like the labor leaders, the unions are the center, you know, of what is happening now. The workers are putting pressures on us, seriously. Some are saying that even, you know, they doubt whether we are genuine in this or whether we are not working with government on this. And government is calling us names, you know, that we are causing trouble, we are not realistic based on economic situation and all that. So probably when this pressure continues, we allow the government to receive the pressure from the workers, you know, who are equally demanding for this pay. However, I have said that we will continue to play this moderating role. You know, the pressure from our members and the position of government, provided government is willing, you know, to see it from the perspective of the worker and to feel the pressure that is coming from the worker, to know that, you know, one can't go to work and come back in the present day Nigeria without spending over almost 70 or 60,000, you know, every month. Now, if we realize this, we'll be on the same table and we'll discuss in the conversation, we may find a way out. I'll give you an example. When we come out with the issue of CNG, and we took it to government when they just came into power, and we say CNG, they say, what's the meaning of CNG? We explained it to them. Now, that idea is coming from us. However, now, you know, they are telling you CNG, they have refused to appreciate where it is coming from. And I'm telling you that all the social partners, you know, have a commitment and they can bring suggestions to certain problems that we are facing in this country. But when it is we and them, it becomes a problem, it becomes problematic. You know, you want to be a trade unionist, you want to be a minister, you want to be a permanent secretary. It doesn't go that way. Everybody will bring their own knowledge and experience to the table, and it will help the country to move forward. Mm.
When we talk about the minimum wage, it means the wage for the new entrant into the strata, into the ladder of the civil service. And in today's federal service or state service, I'm not sure they are employing anybody who doesn't even have any form of education. So perhaps school certificate is the lowest that is acceptable. For those who will say that for those who are going to be at the bottom of the ladder, whom the minimum wage is for, they may not have had 4 children, because this arrangement or this proposition is made and arranged for 6 members of a family. That means a wife and a husband and 4 children. And so there are those who are also thinking maybe Labour would tinker with actually being realistic about the figure, knowing that this arrangement or this proposition will be for someone who had been in the civil service for a minimum of 5 years.
I'll say, let me say this. When you talk about those who have 4 children and whatever, I will tell you that studies have shown that those people we are talking of, level 1, step 1 or whatever, most of them have more than 4 children. And that those of you that on level 15 and 18 don't have up to the number of children they have. And this analysis we drew here fits them. It's an analysis of maybe 1 bedroom or whatever. It is not an analysis of 3-bedroom flat. It's not an analysis of duplex. It is not the analysis of a car owner that will fill his time with about 70,000. Maybe 1 week or 1 week plus it will be off. That is not the analysis of the table we brought here. We brought the analysis of the lowest person. And the use of realistic, you have kept on saying it. We have to situate what is realistic in this context. The realistic, is it what I need to eat till the end of the month? Or is it the quantum of the money as a result of inflation? So realistic has nothing to do with the amount being asked. If the amount being asked for is what will take me to the end of the month, it's a realistic figure. But if it is now in millions because of the devaluation of the currency, then it is unfortunate because the managers of such currency have not been able to bring it down to be manageable. That's it.
Comrade Joe Ajaero, thank you so much for some of this clarification and your intervention tonight, and we wish the Labour very well in these negotiations. Thank you so much indeed, NLC President. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's our show for tonight. Many thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.